Hi, I'm Heather from booktubes, and today is a Cruel Prince reading vlog that is like a different style. So I have a sit down kind of recap of the book, and then I have a bunch of my favorite quotes, and then I have a reading journal spread that I did for it. I will say I don't think that this is going to be interesting to you if you haven't already read The Cruel Prince, and it definitely will be spoilery. And it is not really a recap. I don't know, it's more of an analysis of why I like the things about it. So if you've read the book and or you don't have any interest in reading the book but want to watch the video, that's probably the only people that this is going to be for. I read the entire Folk of the Air trilogy before I started my booktube channel. I have not talked about it a ton on the channel, partially because it is a YA fantasy with a thread of romance, and my channel mostly focuses on adult romances. So even though I've definitely mentioned how much I love it, I've never really done any content dedicated to it, except for one of my very first videos was adult romances if you like The Cruel Prince. I remember getting this one comment on it that was like, why would you recommend these books? This is, unhinged. And I was like, I don't know, I think you missed the part where it's adult romances if you like The Cruel Prince. But anyways, that is like not even a good video. It's a very early video, so not a lot. I was originally going to do this as all 5 books of the Folk of the Air trilogy, which would be a reread for me, and then the Stolen Air duology, because the second book just came out and I haven't read the duology and I kind of want to. But as you can see, since I said it's just The Cruel Prince, that's all you're getting from me. So it was kind of a bit of a fail, but I decided to post it anyways, is basically what is happening here. So, if you want an analysis of The Cruel Prince, I guess this is for you. The Cruel Prince. We start off with a regular high school setting, but with Faye. It starts off very much like a contemporary romance bully storyline. You have the popular crowd, you have the outsider girl, she's a loner, she doesn't really have friends, and she is going along with the status quo. But underneath the surface, she is seething. She's never okay with the way that she's treated, but she is putting on a front of being okay with it to lessen the amount of suffering that she has to deal with from these bullies. She doesn't have a great home life. In this particular case, she doesn't really get along well with her stepmother for all intents and purposes. She has sibling rivalry. She has a contentious relationship with her stepfather, who in this case is actually the murderer of her parents, but also really wants his approval in a lot of different ways, wants to be the child that he wants. Then on top of that, you have the layer of fairy, where things really genuinely aren't safe for anyone, but particularly for Morthal. Jude has so much protection because she's the actual general's daughter, and the general is a fearsome figure in fairy. He's very violent and he's able to beat pretty much anyone who comes against him. But at the same time, Jude doesn't want Maddox to fight all of her battles for her, so she doesn't tell him everything because he's going to come in and kill everybody if she does. So you have a teenage girl who from the time that she was 7 has lived in deep, intense fear all the time, knowing that anything and everything could potentially kill her, and would happily do so. And while Maddox might throw a fit afterwards, there's not much he can do if she's already dead. From this sense of powerlessness, we get kind of the entire theme of the story, which is Jude seeking power, seeking a way to keep herself and her loved ones safe, but more than anything, just so that she doesn't have to deal with putting up with things that she doesn't want to. She wants to be able to make her bullies eat their words. She wants to be able to get in their faces and make them fear her the way that she has had to fear them because of their superiority when it comes to power. You also have her having this huge fear of glamour, because once you're glamored, you have to do whatever that person tells you to do, even your own death or the death of someone else. Rereading all these parts has been really particularly interesting because there's so many quotes, so many great quotes that I had forgotten about that are part of why I loved reading this series so much. It's not just the storyline. It's not just a powerless human girl that starts off like many YA stories and many romances even gaining power, even though I like that. I like watching someone be better than the people that they're fighting against. It's also the subtleness a lot of times of the writing where there's these quotes and there's these indications and these double meanings and these foreshadowings even of dynamics and kind of rules to live by. Again, especially with fairy, you need to know the rules of the game or you're going to die, basically. And I've always loved reading about fae where you have to really pay attention to their wording. You have to pay attention to what's being said, the exact words, and what all that could mean, because while they can't lie, they specialize in half-truths and loopholes and double meanings. They're saying one thing and you took it as to mean the thing that you had context for, but what they were saying actually applied to something else that you didn't even consider. So while they were telling the truth, it wasn't the truth that you thought that you were hearing. It wasn't the truth that you believed. It was something else entirely. That's one of the things that I really like about Carden in particular. He is a teenager, but he has this down pat. He understands the rules that he lives by. He has the same fear that Jude has, and he's lived with it his entire life. Again, he is at the mercy of beings that are more powerful than he is, even though he's a prince of fairy. Of course, we know that he's been actively abused by his brother at this point, but he has a little bit of a double character type where there are times where he is unnecessarily cruel, but one, he doesn't seem to be unnecessarily cruel to Jude because that's not really what fascinates him about her. As much as he has an obsession with her, it's not necessarily an obsession with her pain or with her fear. It's the fact that she has so much rage and so much of a desire and a will to fight back, even when the odds are completely against her. There's no reason for her to do that. She should stay down, but she doesn't. Carden is someone who's happy with the amount of power that he has, right? He doesn't want to be the High King. He doesn't want more power than he has. He wants to be able to not have people abuse him, obviously, but he's not really looking for more than to be happy with what he's got and to not have to answer to other people. When Jude becomes a spy, this I think is the first big turning point of the story, because up until then her life had just been carrying on as it had been for the last 10 years. But when she becomes a spy, she becomes thrust into the political sphere, the things that are happening that she was completely unaware of, and she needs to be good at it. In a lot of ways, she doesn't have to be that good at it because she is immortal and because she's going in dressed as a servant that she literally gets overlooked. So she doesn't have to be great per se, but in order for her to stay alive and in order for her to put together any pieces, then she does have to become great. And she does. We watch this in real time. We watch her improve in the book, not only with the training, not only with the poisons and the sword play and the climbing and the strategy and the puzzle pieces. And you do again have reasons with Matic for a 17-year-old girl to be good at this and not just be a high school student. You're watching her improve. She's become a spy. She's figuring things out. She's realizing that people are not who she thought that they were. That is super illustrated by Oriana having been the High King's consort, and Jude is just her stepmother. She doesn't even know anything about that. Locke despises him, couldn't care less about him, his storyline, his machinations, his shenanigans, couldn't care less. Taryn, don't care. Vivi, don't really care. I'm here for Jude, Carden, and Matic. Those are my characters that I am truly fascinated by. I'm having the storm of the century, okay? I don't know what to tell you. Which I think that Jude being in a fight of strategy with Matic, with her father figure that she wants to impress, and it's not Matic that has the power, and it's not Jude that's trying to get the power. In a lot of ways, it should be the royal family, right? So it's a different sort of tension than it would be if they were king and princess. And I like it more. I like it more that they are unknowingly battling each other. I liked that Maddox got beat because he assumed that Jude would never betray him, that he didn't have to watch his back in that direction, and that Jude does still care about him, but because of who she knows him to be and because of her love for Oak, she's not willing to back down. I liked that the poison came into play and that wasn't just a, oh, why are we doing this whole time? She does actively use that in this book. I've always felt so bad kind of for Cardan to be betrayed by the person that he is into, because if this was a dual POV or if this was a romance from his perspective, gasp. The betrayal, right? Like, that is the type of betrayal that we don't want our main characters to have, and we so often do have in trilogies and stories where you have more than one book following than one couple. But being betrayed by the one person that you thought might actually be on your side, and she doesn't do anything terrible to him, but at the same time, she does the worst possible thing. The one thing that he was actively trying to avoid, the one thing that he never wanted, and the thing that his literal entire family died for, even if they didn't really care about him. And also, that being part of why Cardan hates Jude so much is that she has a father who loves her when he shouldn't. He has no real reason to. She's not even his. She's the living epitome of the betrayal of his human wife. I've always found it interesting, I guess, that all of this comes to pass because Jude is convinced that this is the way to keep Oak safe, right? And her plan is basically to keep him out of sight for 10 years. I don't think that that's like the best plan. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I guess we're gonna find out in the Stolen Air duology. So, why do I love this book? I love it for the romance, obviously, but I really love it for the political intrigue, the game of strategy. I enjoy that. I enjoy watching my characters try and win, and I enjoy watching them do a good job of it. The writing and the quotes don't hurt. Rereading it with Cardan especially, I feel like knowing that Locke was trash to, completely ignore him, which I knew the first time, but knowing to ignore Locke and just everything that Cardan did could still be taken as obsession with Jude. And I really liked that lens to read it with this time. So there you have it. Oh, gotta get my ear. That's my Cardan cosplay. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reading The Wicked King. I look fly, I look good. I remember picking up The Cruel Prince in the library because I loved the cover so much and the synopsis really spoke to me. These are still some of my favorite covers. I love the crowns and the nature elements. Here we go with some quotes. This is the least of what I can do. Jude, you keep smiling a pleasant smile in front of Maddox, but all I can see anymore is bared teeth. What could I become if I stopped worrying about death, about pain, about anything? If I stopped trying to belong? Instead of being afraid, I could become something to fear. If I cannot be better than them, I will become so much worse. I will go as far as there is to go. I will go way too far. Fairies might not be able to lie, but Maddox lied with every laugh, every clap on the back, every shared cup of wine. You're mortal. It's not safe for you here, especially if you go around stabbing everyone. Everything he said was true enough, as long as you concentrate on only the words. He's a monster, so if I want to do a very bad thing, he's not going to judge me for it. Much. Not nearly as alarmed as when I bring my mouth to his. You do well to decide how much you care for goodness before you go too far down the road of spycraft. Finding weaknesses and exploiting them, that I understand, but making people like you, that I am far less skilled at. You live your life always afraid, always with danger on your heels. It is not so difficult to pretend away more danger. Her job is to help him care about things other than power, and my job is to care only about power. You have a plan to rule Elfhame yourself. I figured it out. I knew he was better than me, but I didn't realize how much better. By now, I was used to drinking poison. He never thought of me as someone who would betray him. I think that if I did not have another reason to cross you, I would do it for spite. Toast to surprises and to being too drunk to show up. Codename? What else? The Queen. I hope that reading some of my favorite quotes turned out okay. This is the spread that I have for this series with potions and poisons and mushrooms and snakes. The spread will definitely help me to absolutely read these books this year. I'm really loving it, and I really want to use it to its full potential. So if you want more videos like this about the rest of the series or about other books, whatever, I did have to make myself continue the video, finish the video, post the video, but I am glad that I did. I'm glad that I experimented with something a little bit different, and I would love to know what you think about it. I had originally intended on trying to do different fairy core things or different characters for each update, for each book, and the intro and everything, but that started to sound like a lot of work, and that's part of why we ended up just doing this. But if you could let me know that you recognize what I was doing, and if you noticed the mushroom makeup on the introduction and outro clips, I would like validation. I would like credit. I would like for somebody to tell me that I don't look like a weirdo wasting my time while doing all of this. So, if you made it this far, you could be that person for me. We could do that for each other. That's it. Thanks so much for watching the whole thing. I probably won't do this for any of the other books unless you really, really, really want me to, because I do think that being okay, you have to film the whole video for it kind of delayed me diving into the second book and kind of lost some momentum there. So if you really want it, let me know, but almost definitely you're not gonna get it. So thanks for watching this whole thing. You're the best. And I'll see you in the next video, I guess. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.